What is up, everyone? Here we are today with a deck from F4ng. This is going to be a GDI Strongarm deck. We're actually going to be talking today about what should you play on GDI, because F4ng was like, here's the deck I've been playing, I don't know what to play on GDI. Now, I'm going to start out by saying I think we're all in that world at the moment. No one really knows what to play on GDI. I think that's why we have a lot of people playing F4ng, despite the fact that it's obviously, you know, a heinous deck. People just don't know what to do with GDI, so given that whatever GDI deck you play, you're kind of rolling the dice, because it's very difficult to make a GDI deck that isn't weak to either Chuggy, Giga, or Inferno. Like, one of those three things is going to be strong against you. For example, this deck here, I would say both Inferno and Chuggy are probably quite strong against you. Inferno for sure is. This deck is definitely going to struggle with Inferno. So maybe a lot of people are feeling like, because you have to roll the dice anyway with GDI and kind of be weak to one of those things, maybe just play MLRS and fully go in on flip a coin and whether you win or not. So we're going to play a few games with this deck. I'm going to talk about what I like and don't like about it, and then I'm going to talk about other decks you can play at the moment on GDI. Really, there's not a lot of options for GDI. I think there's maybe like 3 or 4 decks that I've been playing, and I don't love any of them. Like, none of them are great. I actually have found, I think I've found that the Razorback Mohawk one, I think, is the one I've been having the most success with at the moment. It's very, very good in GDI mirrors. It's a little bit weak to Nod, but it's so hard not to be weak to something on Nod at the moment when you're playing GDI. It's kind of just the way it is, so just choose to be weak to it and move on with life, I guess. Alright, so as a barracks opening deck... Oh no, wait, it's a dog opening deck. I was going to say as a barracks opening deck, we could go half first. As a dog opening deck, you should probably go dogs first. We're going to get dogs. We're going to head towards the pad, start charging. This guy looks like he wants to stall. We'll make sure it's charging. Get a second dog, start harassing this thing whilst continuing to charge. Whoops, that dog was meant to be on that pad. I don't really want to push in too badly against this thing. I can just wait. We're going to go into shocks. We do want to be charging the missile though. Normally I'd like to wait for a second missile, but he doesn't seem to be committing, so we'll make the shock trooper take out the rifleman first.
Do not forget to subscribe.
Turn this over. Yo, thank you, Laser. Move these up. That should be my missile now. There we go. No problems there. In terms of fighting like orcas and drone swarm, like this deck does not have great AA. It's just a missile pitbull. That is not unusual for GDI necessarily, but with no air to air, you're going to struggle with Inferno and Orca. That's kind of how it is. What I can do is just switch to my own air units, and then I don't have to, you know, and I can kind of ignore the Orca by just playing my own air. He's going to go after my Harvester, I'm guessing. Yeah. It is Rivals. You can't expect too much from people. There's a Juggernaut. Wow, that's unexpected. There's Hammerhead. That's very expected. After I make Orca, I very much expect a Hammerhead. Well, we just kind of need to win the missile now before the Juggernaut takes over. I don't think he should have moved the Juggernaut, but I guess he needed to get on the pad. But, yeah, there you go. Juggernaut, not great. Alright, let's go dogs again. I feel like the being a dog opening deck where we transition into barracks very often and quickly kind of makes me not like the Strongarm that much. I don't know, like I feel like you spend too much money in the early game when you're trying to transition to shock troopers. Normally the Strongarm decks are rifle opening, and you would open rifles and then maybe transition into something like a drone swarm and then save up. This deck, I don't know, just feels like I'm not gonna make it. I don't know. Maybe I haven't played the deck enough yet to get a proper. Okay, so we got MLRS Shatterer deck. I'm gonna just try and survive out the missile. Yeah, there we go. A little bit closer than I would have liked though. I guess we just go Orca against MLRS deck. Wow, second MLRS, okay. It's aggressive. Let's try and kill the first one because he obviously wants to get my half. Yeah, and then we'll just Orca this. Let's move the half because I don't want him to actually shoot it. Obviously we're going to take some hits, there's nothing we can do here, but it won't die. Sling... I've already talked about my feelings about Slingshot enough times. Anyone watching my videos probably knows how I feel about Sling, but basically I have issues with the fact that it's an anti-air unit that doesn't beat air. Like, I just killed it with my Orca. That's sad. If you're playing a Slingshot and it's your primary anti-air and you build it exclusively to fight air and then it dies to an air unit, that's not great. You're probably not super stoked about that. This guy's deck is really very odd. Now I'm gonna kill another Sling with an Orca. That's just like, you can't be happy with that result if you're building a Slingshot specifically to kill air and losing it to the air unit. That is a disappointing result. That guy's deck didn't seem very good, but it's definitely the kind of deck you can just lose to. Like these Fortress decks, they get set up, you can just die. Very, very annoying to play against. So I kind of feel like this deck doesn't really have any strengths. It's kind of like mediocre in every department. So I'm not a huge fan of it. Also, like, Dog and Drone and Shock is so much commitment to anti-infantry. And then it really ends up, it feels like it ends up really relying on the Orca to do a lot of heavy lifting for it. And really, I feel like air units should be support most of the time. You shouldn't be relying on them to be your primary role player. I'm gonna go into missiles here, although maybe that's a mistake because I was actually ahead in the Pitbull mirror. He's also gone missiles, so we'll get shocks. Oh, I do expect him to be on these pads. Drone Swarm against double Pitbull is a weird choice. Although our decks look very similar so far. I'm just sending that Pitbull up there to die. Because it was on like 1 hit point anyway. Another Shock Trooper here. So he has rifles instead of shocks. He's also playing Solomon instead of Strongarm. Which I think puts me favored, honestly. Like, Solomon is not very good a commander. Strongarm is just going to be more useful throughout the game than Solomon is. And then shocks are going to be just more powerful than the rifles. Especially he opened dogs, right? So he has dogs and rifles. Not a big fan of that, to be honest. I'm just going to go Orca next. He's got these 2 Pitbulls on the middle. I want something that kills them quickly. Yeah, I should win the game easily here. Yeah, so he basically didn't use his commander. I used my commander 2 or 3 times. So, you know, having a commander power is good. Just seems like a very good matchup for me. I just seem... Our decks were very similar, mine was just better, I think. Let's have a look at his deck. Yeah, so very similar. I have shocks instead of rifles and strong arm instead of Solomon. That's it. I think this is better. I think this is a better deck than this. Because like I say, Solomon is just not that useful a commander most of the time. And I think the shocks are actually better than the rifles. Rifle dog was like a really good combo a while back. I don't think it's the case anymore. Anyway, let's talk about other decks you can play. Obviously, there is the classic Suzaku APC, which I personally think it has basically no good matchups anymore. Like, I just think this deck has... I don't think it's like an auto loss to anything, but I also think it's not... Like, you're basically never going to play a game where you're happy to be playing this deck. You're bad versus tanks, Gigas, Infernos, Chuggies. It's just kind of bad versus all the decks in the game, in my opinion, that people still play. Other decks you can play, this is the one I've been playing the most recently, I'd say. Again, it's weak to Inferno and Orca, like it's weak to aircraft. But you can sort of transition into playing your own aircraft. You can play Razorback Mohawk to bypass having to fight enemy air that can kill your ground. What else have we got? This is just another variant of Razorback, just Walker instead of Mohawk. You can play like BR deck, the Rifle, Missile, Shock, Predator, Pitbull, Hammerhead. I don't really like that very much. Let's have a look at what other people at the top of the ladder are playing. So Enswaggles is just on Suzaku APC, it looks like. Yep, that's his most played deck. He's got this Gren deck as well, which I don't like. About the same win rate as he's got with the... And he's got a Sling MLRS, pretty much all around 80-something% win rate. Let's see what Silas is just playing Razorback, I'm guessing. He's always plays Razorback. Yep, he's playing the Razorback Walker, which I already talked about. That's me. See what Great Boy's playing. Great Boy's playing basically the deck we were just playing. He has Talon instead of Drone Swarm, and he has Solomon. I don't like Solomon that much. I wanted to talk a little bit about whether or not Talon was better than Drone Swarm in the deck we just played. And I think the answer is probably yes. Because you have Dog and Shock, you have quite a lot of anti-infantry already. So, and Shocks are really good as well. Shocks are going to be your primary anti-infantry most of the time. I think Talon to have the air-to-air unit, so you're stronger against Orcas and Infernos, I think it is better. I don't know why Great Boy's playing in Solomon with the deck. Probably just for fun. Because I don't really think Solomon is I don't think Solomon's a very strong commander in like mid-range mirror matches, which is what most matches are near the top of the ladder. Anyway, let's play some games with these decks, and I'll talk about them a little bit. But we'll start with Suzaku APC. It's a classic, as I said. I don't think it's great right now, but I will play a few games and we'll talk about it. We'll see if we run into bad matchups. Probably yes, because, you know, deck doesn't have very many good matchups.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so we're gonna play against a Solomon player. This guy is in Masters, so you know. Oh, nice, bit of lag there. Feels good.
Unit ready.
Back our missiles up. We don't really want to fight this fight. I'm actually gonna go second missile. I hate committing this much on the infantry, but I also hate fighting dogs in the early game. We've gone straight into shocks. Okay, so we'll have our rifles stand and fight if he wants to push in. And we'll go... I guess we're going to go... Against GDI, I'd much rather go APC, but... Yeah, I'm actually just going to do it. I don't think it's fast enough anymore. When the APC was 80 and stronger, this kind of worked. Because, like, the APC could beat Pitbulls. Now, the APC is too weak to beat the Pitbull, so you go APC and then you just lose to the Pitbull. So yeah, I think this used to work way better. I think we just lose first missile to shocks now. That's kind of where we're at. This deck just will lose to heavy infantry first missile. It is definitely a free build. Oh wow, that's a huge waste of an iron cannon. Not a fan of that play by our opponent. I think that was a huge waste of money. Like, I don't care that much about half an APC shell and a Pitbull. We'll just build another one, and it costs him a lot more than it cost us. If it was near the end of the missile, then sure, the tempo is super important, but it wasn't. It was just, he just fired it off right after a missile, so it wasn't a good play. But yeah, shock troopers are a real problem for this deck now. It used to be that APC was strong enough that you would not struggle so much. But APC just ain't what he used to be. Alright, so now we're set up. Now would be a good time for an iron cannon. Like, this would be a reasonable time for an iron cannon. But obviously he spewed all his money earlier, so he can't afford one now. And we'll just continue the APC spam, which is what you want to do in GDI Mirror. You want to just make lots of APCs and Pitbulls. That's pretty much the whole game plan in the GDI Mirror with this deck. It's not as good as it used to be though, because like I say, you used to be able to spam a bunch of APCs and you beat Pitbulls with them. Or like at least it would be efficient enough with your own Pitbulls. But that's not really the case anymore. Alright, we can transition into the drone storm now. We have enough money. This is why I don't like Solomon, because like it's almost never high enough impact. Like he killed 2 APC shells, I think, or an APC shell and a missile, which doesn't matter. Just immediately make another APC, move it up. And now the Solomon is completely irrelevant, right? So not a fan. Anyway, like I was saying, Suzaku, this actually didn't look like that bad a matchup. Opponent didn't have a strong answer to APC, but the deck is not what it used to be. That's for sure.
3, 2, 1. New objective received.
Harvester ready to collect.
We're playing Zachary APC at the moment, aren't we? Let's have a look. See what we're up to.
Rifleman awaiting orders. Move.
Unit ready.
You got it.
What about Centurion Confessor combo? What about it, man? What about it? So against Nod, we probably need to go air. Drone Swarm is like the best unit against Nod, basically. Probably in like the whole game. This buggy is a beating though. Actually no, the buggy is not a beating. The buggy is fine. I have Orca. Buggy's biggest weakness in the early game is Orca. So what I was like, oh, buggy beats my barracks on my air, but it doesn't because I have Orca.
Orca ready for attack run. Oh wait, let's get him. We've got this. Ready for action.
Unit ready.
Orca ready for attack run. Missiles moving.
Unit lost.
Missiles ready. Rifleman lead the way.
Defense online.
Yeah, so the Orca kind of just poops on Buggy. This is why I stopped playing Buggy, is because people started playing way more Orca. And it's basically impossible to beat Orca first missile with Buggy instead of Bike. Orca just annihilates Buggy so hard, man. It's brutal. I've killed like 4 Buggies now with this one Orca.
Awaiting orders. Let's get him.
Building.
Start rolling out the APCs.
Moving at armored transport here.
Now, if he's playing Buggy, he probably has Tank. It's very, very common. Yeah, there it is. Very common to play Buggy Tank. He's got Oksana as well, so my guess would be it's the Buggy Inferno Tank deck.
Let's hit him. Let's get him.
This Orca is going to die now, but it's fine. It's done a lot of work. Gonna get the APC to try and finish off the tank.
Unit lost.
There we go. Very nice. We do need a new Orca though, because he's gonna roll out another tank soon, and we need Orca to counter the tanks. Yeah, there it is. We're gonna get the missiles to do as much as we can to hold it off, and then we're gonna go Orca and try and finish it.
Missiles, we've got this.
There we go. Very nice. This is pretty much textbook how you play this deck.
Defense online.
Get the APC at the front. They need to replace the APC on the bottom. But basically, yeah, you use Orca to protect your APC against tanks. That is the key to this deck. We're gonna get another APC down bottom.
Lost.
Missiles, I'm on it. Awaiting orders. We've got this.
Yeah, as you can see, we are pretty far ahead right now. He's gonna have a hard time. Even if he killed one of the APC shells, he still have missiles to deal with.
Enemy base destroyed.
Okay, well, we've talked about APC before a lot of times. A couple of games there showcasing it. It looked pretty good in those games, not gonna lie. Definitely a deck you can still play. I do think at the top of the ladder, though, there's a lot of people playing things that this is not well suited against. Like Kane Tick Tank, Chuggy Inferno, Chuggy Giga. All of these are pretty bad matchups. Even a lot of the GDI decks are Predator decks now as well, which is also pretty rough. So let's move on to one of those Predator decks. This is, let me check my history, but I think this is the GDI deck I've been playing the most. Yeah, I have 46 battles with it. I have 89% win rate, which is pretty solid. You know, it's not 90 plus, but it's close to 90, which is very, very good. It's higher than, well, I was going to say it's higher than most of my decks. This obviously is small sample sizes on these ones. Some of these are event decks as well, which is why they have 100% win rate. Like for example here. So yeah, I basically have not been sampling enough with different GDI decks to get a good read on the win rates. This is really the only one I've been playing. But as we were looking at Swaggle's history, he's like mid-80s with all of his GDI decks. And I think that's like about right. Like GDI is pretty weak at the moment. Getting 90% plus is really difficult. So 89 on this one I'm pretty happy with, to be honest. I suspect my nod win rate's a little bit higher. But yeah.
3, 2, 1. New objective available. Building online.
Good start. Poor network.
Unit ready.
Real opener. I hate being barracks against War Factory in the early game, but I believe that barracks opening rifles gives you the ability to have a more flexible deck. Your overall deck power level, I believe, goes up by using. You get a weaker early game, but a better mid to late game if you play barracks instead of War Factory opening. Flamers, sure. What do I have for flamers? I have Razorback, right? So it'll be basically just looking for Razorback Missile for a while. Razorback Missile should beat Bike Flamer. Well, I'm actually not sure if that's true anymore. I think it is. Bike Flamer you should be able to beat with Razorback Missile. We're gonna put, because we are the defensive positioned here, we have to pull back. And we're just looking to hold a single pad for now. Because I want time to build up my forces. I want to go free building as well. He doesn't really care, he just wants to play his War Factory and his barracks. So I'm the person who plays on defense here. Gonna transition into the Mohawk so we can beat bikes without having to worry about the flamers. Alright, so we get first missile reasonably comfortably. By going Mohawk Razorback, we beat bikes comfortably. We lose badly to Stealth Tank with this build, but that's why Predator's in the deck. Like, really, Razorback Mohawk Missile is what I want to play most of the game. And then I lose really badly to Stealth Tank with that combo, which is that's the reason we play a Predator tank. Most of the GDI decks, I'd say, are more Predator focused at the moment. Like, that's generally, there is the Stealth Tank. Generally, GDI decks are more Predator focused. This one I would say is slightly more Mohawk focused, except that Mohawk decks get smashed by Stealth Tank. So I'm a Predator and a Mohawk deck to try and avoid that happening. It does make me weak to Inferno though, because I have no air-to-air to give me strength against Inferno decks. As you can see, this was a pretty comfortable win. The Stealth Tank would have wrecked me if we didn't have the Predator to shut it down. But with the Predator, it's a pretty good matchup for me. Yeah, here comes the Stealth Tank, but who cares? It can't kill them both. And we have the Predator nearby. Yeah. Pretty dominant for this deck here. This is gonna be a good one with if we don't come against Inferno. Like Inferno and Orca are the two absolute worst matchups for this deck. But you can beat Orcas with Pitbulls. You can't really beat good Inferno play. You can't beat with Pitbulls, I don't think.
3, 2, 1. New objective received.
All right, God of Blood.
Building online.
I believe this guy plays Shock Troopers and probably like Shock Pred. Probably some pretty standard. Could be another one of these Orca drone builds that seem to be popping up quite a lot. We're just gonna be reasonably chill here. He's gonna want to charge, I'm guessing. We'll go for the second missile. And then he'll go into shocks. That's the standard play pattern. There they are. So we're going to save for the Razorback, just like last game.
Online. Unit ready.
Interesting choice. I hit Sling. Sling is pretty bad for me. Because the Sling shuts down the Razorback, and then I don't really have anything else that kills the Shock Troopers. Like, I have Razorback and I have Rifles. His shocks are level 13 though, which is, you know, that's gonna make it easier because I'm over leveled. But at equal levels, shock Sling is a very bad matchup for me. And MLRS. Yeah, this looks like a actually no, you know what? I just realized I can kill slingshots with Mohawks. Once again, I was talking before about how I don't like slingshot because it doesn't even beat the air units that you make it to kill. And the fact that you can kill a slingshot with Mohawks is a good proof of that. So yeah, I'm actually just gonna keep playing Mohawk.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit ready.
Right, well, we win this game. No problem. We did have a pretty big level advantage there, so
Unit lost.
not
Objective complete.
not a very good example of the game.
3, 2, 1. New objective available. Harvest
Mohawk doesn't beat boosted Sling, Jeffrey. Not even close. Once again, MSV is a huge problem in balancing.
Rifleman ready. Rifleman awaiting orders.
I'm gonna go for the double missile here, much as I hate to commit. I don't mind committing to the double missile as much when I'm a Razorback deck, because I want to transition into Razorback anyway. I definitely want to be stalling, because I'm a free building deck. Oh, he's going triple wheel. Okay, I'll try and get a 2v2 here. Cat ship, wow.
building
I do not see cat ship very often. I feel obliged to give a shock emote to a cat ship.
Unit lost. Unit ready.
Pretty aggressive boost there. We're gonna roll the pit bulls through both sides. Pretty straightforward missile. Here's a lot of lasers here. We're gonna go into Razorback.
Online.
You don't want to use a Razorback to drive into defensive missiles. You want to tank with something else. You want to at least absorb that first shot with another unit before you send the Razorback in.
Unit
Got Mohawk here. See Mohawk Razorback combo against the bikes. I didn't mean to move the Razorback down there. I just took a volley for no reason. It's not great.
Unit ready. Unit lost. Unit enhanced.
Hoping the boosted Razorback kills the lasers quickly enough. Yeah, it does. Kind of disgusting, actually. So this is the deck that I'm like the most at the moment on GDI. The games that we just played here, none of them were particularly close. I did have a level advantage against the worst matchup though. The one against God of Blood, that was like for sure the worst matchup with the Slingshot and the MLRS. But we had a huge level advantage, so it wasn't a problem. I didn't even know this guy had the Giga. I don't think he even made one because we were just beating him with the air. He never felt like he could get to the Giga. This one also should have been kind. Alright, so finally we're going to be playing an MLRS Talon deck. I don't know how good this one is. Honestly, I don't know if I can really recommend it. But, you know, it is another option. I think that if you get an MLRS and surround it with Talons, that can be a really powerful combo. I don't know what Mavlet plays, but I have a feeling he plays MLRS. I don't really want to go Pitbull in case he goes MLRS. I might even just go I'm just going to go a fast MLRS. I think getting it into position first might be... Yeah, he is playing MLRS. Getting mine into position first might be really important. That's why he's trying to block me out. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing.
Unit enhanced.
Moving out. Long range obliteration.
We got him.
Unit ready.
we both boosted, but I was able to get the MLRS to fire first.
We're getting pounded.
This is a huge deal in the MLRS mirror.
Ready. Unit lost.
It's not like the Giga mirror though, where you're just the person who gets more Giga cannons wins.
Destruction from distance. Moving out.
Yeah, this is what I expected him to do. I expected him to send in the dogs to tank and then boost his MLRS in,
Launch.
which is why I moved mine out. I was reasonably sure I couldn't reload in time to kill his MLRS, so I tried to retreat it. Actually, ended up dying to dogs there, which is pretty awkward. But what are you gonna do? Yeah, MLRS mirror is a weird matchup for sure.
Let the rockets rain.
Unit lost.
I'm gonna need to go into shocks of my own pretty soon, I think.
Unit lost.
Long range obliteration.
No, I didn't reload in time. That sucks. It's a really weird matchup because the MLRS, you can boost an attack into a reloading MLRS and you will win that fight. So it's a really weird matchup because it's like the defender's the defender's advantage kind of swings around the other way, and there's an offensive advantage
Unit lost.
Scouting ahead. Ready for detection. This is Grotus. People here. Weapons. Hit bull in a
because with a boost you kill faster than the other MLRS reloads. It's a very strange matchup.
Unit ready.
moving out.
As you can see, the Talons are
Ready to bite.
Unit
big dick unit in this matchup.
Backing up. Let the rock weapons. They've got long range.
Unit lost.
Let's set up. Ready for the on my way. Rockets are ready.
Such a weird matchup, man. Such a weird matchup. I'm gonna move both of these in at the same time.
Rockets are firing.
Unit lost.
And my half at the same time as well.
Unit ready.
So weird. I don't think I can kill the dogs in time. Yeah, the dogs are gonna kill me. What a beating.
Major structural damage received.
Alright, let's start getting shots.
Yes, this is lock and hit bull. Ready for people. Ready to pedal to the metal.
Where's the action?
Awaiting orders.
Unit enhanced.
All right, let's do this. ML moving out.
No! Capacitors.
Destruction from distance. People here green light.
Unit lost.
ML hacking up.
Unit ready.
Let the pedal to the metal.
Shockwave moving.
Yeah, he did because I didn't boost in is why he was able to reload in time. I didn't have boost available.
Unit lost.
Firing. Moving out.
Unit ready.
Squad here. Hacking up. Moving out.
Unit enhanced. Unit ready.
He has Razorback? Wow, okay. Weird matchup. Super weird matchup.
Ready for deploying. ML. Let it bull in a double.
Unit ready.
All right, let's do this. A fight. Bigger than my ball. Burning rubber. Hit bull in a
I think I win, but what the... that was such a weird game. That was such a weird game.
That was tactical genius.
You are victorious. Control.
That makes a lot of sense though, he doesn't have missiles.
1. New objective available.
Alright, so we're up against Solomon, which is obviously not good for us. This is another reason I wouldn't recommend playing like MLRS, because it's a setup unit and you're just randomly weak to things like Solomon and Jade, which are otherwise not particularly powerful commanders. I'm not a huge fan of like opening the door to those commanders being a problem when usually you're advantaged playing against them. Maybe I should have gone straight into MLRS here instead of Pitbull. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Unit ready.
Hit bull in a dog fight. Blast them. Hit bull in a green fight. Bigger than my ball. A blast. Burning rubber.
I'll use my dogs to block out this Pitbull.
Unit ready. Unit lost.
I'm massively ahead in the Pitbull mirror, but I'm also a little bit pop capped on them.
Unit ready. Unit lost.
Could end up being a problem.
Unit ready. Missile cancelled.
Oh, I actually missed that block. What a beating. Ah! Misclicks. Yeah, that was some savage misclicks. I think I just lost the missile with that misclick. Yep, I did. I threw the missile. That feels bad, man, because I won the pitbull mirror, like, by a lot. And then I just threw it away completely with that misclick.
Unit lost. Unit ready.
Probably also could have just made an MLRS at some point.
Unit lost. Unit
I should probably do that. I think he has Orca, though, so the MLRS is not, like, that good.
Lighting 'em up. Crystals are calling. That's music to my
unit lost.
I guess we'll get missiles for now. He might just look to Solomon it rather than go Orca.
shockwave. We need the bomb. Shockwave. Itches for a fight.
Unit lost.
Shockwave. Itches for a fight. Shock capacitor.
Destruction from distance.
Yeah, he isn't making air units, so I think he's setting up for a Solomon.
MLRS.
Can you drop in the face?
Unit ready.
Lighting. Let's go. First. Shock to that enemy.
Unit lost.
Seems like I should win this missile pretty comfortably, right?
Ion cannon activated.
There's the Solomon.
Missile cancelled.
Yeah,
Missile
there's the
cancelled.
Solomon. Still gonna get the missile though.
Weapon launched.
Did have to react pretty quickly, but yeah, still got the missile. Okay, let's start getting Talons. Orca is obviously going to be a problem, like the MLRS is not. It's not easy to hold off Orcas with an MLRS.
Unit ready.
Long range.
That Harvester kill is also a problem because it means he can fund another Solomon. Yeah, there it is.
Cannon activated. Unit
Oof,
lost.
that was pretty painful. Let's get another one.
Unit ready. Unit lost.
Standing by.
Unit ready.
Blow up nice. Awaiting or moving out. Rocket, let's set up. Shadow blow affirmative.
Unit ready.
Firing. Missile closing. MLRS. Let's go. Missile away. Shadow blow up nicely. We've got it.
Well, really jottery.
Unit ready. Unit enhanced. Unit lost. Unit warning. Enemy ion cannon activated. Unit lost.
Another iron cannon.
Unit lost. Unit ready.
I think I'm dead.
Missile launched.
Ah, kind of messed that one up though. It was really, really hard to control my units in that game. Like, it really felt very stuttery.
Our base has
I mean,
been
losing the Harvester was pretty bad, but he used like 4 iron cannons and barly won. The iron cannon's just not a very powerful commander, and that's also against a deck that is weak to it as well. I literally have a unit, like, my main unit cannot dodge iron cannon. So my deck is incredibly weak to an iron cannon, and I still barely lost. He has Orcas. It just seems like a really bad matchup. Anyway, I don't know why. I just feel like we need to talk about how Solomon's not very good, and I don't understand why so many people keep playing him. Anyway, there's some decks you can play. This one I kind of struggled to come up with an idea for, because I just didn't know what to say for like the 4th deck. This is definitely bottom of the pile. I think this is like the best one. This one is fine minus. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's kind of it. There's not a lot of options on GDI. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time.